think it's a little warmer in here than it is outside. Thanks for attending this morning. We wanted to give you a report on the results of the two summits that we held after the 2008 presidential election. As you may recall, December the 2nd, we met at the Ohio Historical Society for a day with folks from all over the state, including election officials, poll workers, voters, candidates, academics, and voting activists, and identified issues that we thought could be focused on for improvement, also looking at what we thought went right in the 2008 election, and then we're able to follow up with that in March with a two-day summit where many of the same people and a few more came together and actually broke into smaller work groups and tried to reach a consensus on things that we could do and solutions that could be implemented to cement some of the good things that happened and to further improve the process. The result of that is the report that I think all of you received today, which is the Elections Enhancements for Ohio. And this is a report to the Governor and the General Assembly. We have had the opportunity to brief staff in the legislature and in the Governor's office about what's contained in this report. And we've also spent time working with the Ohio Association of Election Officials and the County Commissioners Association in reaching some consensus on many of the things in this report. You may recall that Larry Norden from the Brunner Center for Justice at New York University Law School was the moderator and the facilitator for these two summits or conferences, and he did prepare a quite lengthy report recommending changes, and we were able then to take from his report and from our experience and our discussions with the many people at the conferences and craft these final recommendations that we are submitting to the Governor and the General Assembly. Probably the simplest way to look at this is to break this into three areas of where we offer our recommendations. That would be in the area of voting technology and administration, in-person early voting, vote by mail and absentee voting, taking that together as a group, and election day voting and post-election procedures. We do hope that the General Assembly will swiftly consider and enact these proposed changes, because the quicker that this is completed, the more time that boards of elections are provided to prepare for this November's election and the elections next year. We are a few weeks away from primary elections in an odd-numbered year here in Ohio. I checked with my elections staff. Only 66 counties have primary elections this year, and so you've got 22 that will not even be holding primary elections. This is an odd-numbered year where typically you don't see as high of a turnout, and election activity on parts of the boards of elections oftentimes is a lot of behind-the-scenes work that you don't see typically covered in the news, but it's things like dealing with the National Voter Registration Act and making sure that voter rolls are in shape with duplicates removed, especially for what is likely to be a higher turnout year in even-numbered years. Presidential is generally the highest, but there is still a decent turnout in the mid-presidential elections in the even-numbered years. Taking a look at the highlights of the recommendations, we did specifically look at cost savings measures for boards of elections. Some of these things are actually, I think, from the standpoint of boards of elections, quite refreshing and perhaps maybe less confusing for some voters as well, such as moving special elections to primary or general election days. Right now, we have two statutory special election days being in February and in August, and by moving these to the primary or general election days, we believe that taxpayers would save an estimated $2.7 to $5.4 million a year in election administration alone. When there is a vacancy in office elections, such as we've unfortunately had recently in the last few years, such as a special congressional election because of the death of a member of Congress, for that type of a vacancy in office special election, hold that election by mail only, rather than to open up the polling places. I think if we look at the experience of the election of Congresswoman Marcia Fudge in Cuyahoga County to replace Stephanie Tubbs-Jones. The turnout was very, very light. It was at added expense and difficulty for the Board of Elections, for poll workers, and I'm not certain how clear it always was to voters, because the elections are set in that situation by a writ from the governor, and generally it's not held on the same day as a particular election. And where we did do that in 2007 with the election to replace Paul Gilmore, the primary for the special was held on the same day as the general, and that resulted in actually having to have 2 sets of voting machines in the polling places, so that in order to comply with everything that needed to be done by the poll workers and the boards of elections. On the statewide voter registration database, this is an area that we have been continually working on with the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, because this process and procedure does not stand alone with the Secretary of State. So with that, we are looking at finalizing a new voter registration matching process with the Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles. And at that point, we're finalizing a new memorandum of understanding with the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. And along with that, we're working to provide counties with a form of access to relevant non-matches with rules that prescribe their treatment of relevant non-matches. The non-match, we believe that the statute should specify, consistent with the Help America Vote Act, that a non-match could not on its own be the basis for disenfranchising a voter. There were great concerns in the 2008 general election that the non-matches would be used either to disenfranchise a voter or to force voters into voting provisionally, which from a strategic standpoint and a completely partisan standpoint would allow a particular party to isolate a group of ballots and in the event of a close election attempt to litigate the outcome or the results of an election by forcing those voters, for whatever reason there was a non-match, to not be able to vote a regular ballot. And there is nothing in the Help America Vote Act that specifies that this is the purpose of a non-match. It's simply to clean up the voter rolls and to ensure the highest integrity in the voter lists.